o'clock. What is up, everybody? This is Anthony with VR 365. Today is Sunday. It is June 16th, and we are 25 days since the launch of the Oculus Quest back on May 21st. And the Quest has been an incredible arrival in the video game world, especially in the VR gaming world. And I'm joined today by GamingScienceTeacher. And it's going to be a very interesting conversation with her because she got a Quest 25 days ago, in fact. And she's been playing a Quest now for 25 days of experiences with the Quest. And what is going on? How are you doing, GamingScienceTeacher?
I'm all right, and I have to put a little asterisk next to that 25 days. My official last day of school as a teacher was only just on Thursday, and unfortunately, a lot of the days that I've had the Quest, I haven't had much, if any, time to actually use it. So, of course, mostly on the weekends since I got it. And since my last day on Thursday has passed, a little bit in the evening, but now that my summer's officially started, I'm really excited to dive into it. But I haven't had as much time as I would have liked to play so far.
Yeah. It's, we never have enough time, but especially if you're a teacher and when the school season is winding down, it's incredibly busy. I mean, obviously they're like grading everybody, you're doing everything, and it's like, it's crunch for
Right.
you, really. So
Exactly.
it's kind of a bad timing for you. Now, if you just got the Quest now, it'd probably be great timing for you, right?
Yeah, it was pretty good timing. That was close enough to the end of the school year that I'm really looking forward to playing it all summer.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. But, you did get 25 days with it, and really we need to back up and let's try to go back to launch for a second here and just think about well, for you, it was a big deal because this was like your first legitimate VR headset. And so what was like the first couple of days, like when you first got it and just getting into, like you've been thinking about VR for so long and now you've been thinking about Quest for a long time as well. And then you finally got your hands on it. What were those early days like?
Yeah, so I've been watching videos, reading articles since around the time of the Oculus DK2. And at that time, I never thought I would be playing VR myself since I don't have a PC. Up until the day I got my Quest on launch day, I had only ever tried Google Cardboard. And I put the Quest on for the first time, and I was pretty blown away. There were a lot of things that I was expecting. I had heard so many firsthand accounts from other people and from videos about what it would be like, and there were a lot of things that I was prepared for and expecting, but I was pretty blown away. Just the first steps demo was amazing. I tried out First Contact. I knew right away to go to that because of, um, you know, being part of the at least the online um, VR community for so long, and that blew me away as well. Um, I have to say I was disappointed by how it fit me. That was um, not pleasant how it fit and the comfort. Um, I've been spending this entire time up until and including last night messing around with the fit, the comfort, accessories, the studio form strap, VR cover, counterweight to try and get the thing to
Oh
fit
man,
right.
so wait, you have all those? You have the VR
Yep.
cover and okay.
Hmm.
Um what interesting. Now, there's some controversy out there with VR cover, like maybe they jumped the gun and they weren't ready with like maybe they released the product before they were really ready for it. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, they made a post on Reddit and pretty thoroughly explained what was going on, where they worked with Oculus. They designed the plastic interface piece that goes inside your Quest, and then without realizing it, without Oculus going back to them and telling them, they made a last-minute design change, and so that plastic interface on the VR cover is missing one little nub that's supposed to click into a notch on the Quest. So just at the nose part where it's supposed to connect to your Quest, it's not held in as securely as it could be. Yeah. I barely noticed. I don't think it makes too big a difference, but they did say that anyone who has one and wants a replacement, if you send them an email, they'll get you a replacement. But now all of their manufacturing and shipping is delayed for everyone, whether you're ordering a new one or you want a replacement. Everyone has to wait longer now.
What about the studio form thing? Because actually the studio form, someone behind that, I don't, guy, girl, I'm not sure, but actually support my Patreon, and they're sending me one to try out. I haven't got it yet, but what's that all about?
Yeah, I saw that. So you're officially sponsored. Congratulations.
Well, no, I'm not really, but Patreon supporter. So yeah.
Yeah, I have my Quest here, and I can show you what I've landed on. Mm-hmm. And
your Frankenquest.
There it is. Yeah, a little bit. It's not quite the Frankenquest mod.
Yeah.
With the deluxe audio strap or anything like that, but I have the studio form strap that arrived first in the mail.
So that kind of goes over the top of it, kind of?
Yeah. So what I've found is best or most helpful to do with the studio form strap, it's just a padded piece of fabric with Velcro at each end. There's not much to it. Okay. But I just lay it over my head, kind of like a headband, and so that the flaps are kind of coming down right over my ears, and then put the Quest on and adjust the Quest straps. And then the last thing I do is take those flaps that are down over my ears and then lift them up, and that lifts the Quest itself up, and then you Velcro it to itself on the top. And then another important part, I'm not sure how well you can see, is this last little
the strap
piece of
goes
Velcro.
Through there. Okay.
It comes with just an extra little piece of Velcro, not attached to anything. But the last thing I do is take the front strap of the Quest and just lift it up a little bit, and then use this piece to almost just tape it down.
Okay, you're going to have to make a video that explains this whole thing out, because it's a process.
Yeah, it is. It's like this whole process that I have to go through, and it's still not 100% perfect. So then I have the VR cover on there, the pleather one.
Oh, okay.
And I have counterweight on the back. So
pimped out your Quest, huh? Pimped out fully.
Yeah. Even the
3 different things going on there.
Even the people from Studio Form on their website suggest using the Studio Form strap in conjunction with counterweight on the back. And their specific suggestion was 4 AA batteries, and I tried that, and it didn't seem to be enough counterweight. So I actually have 2 D batteries strapped to the back of my Quest with electrical tape. Yeah. And there's a give and take with the counterweight as well, because if you have too much weight, it adds obviously to the overall weight of the headset and just the fatigue that you get wearing it. But it also increases the inertia. So if you have any kind of quick head movement, it makes that uncomfortable. It makes the whole thing kind of feel like it's going to fly off of your head.
That's the problem as well. Because like you think about like doing all this crazy stuff that you're doing is great if you're playing like Shadow Point or something, but if you're playing like Beat Saber, super hot. If you're or Box VR, if you're moving around, ducking, dodging, it's almost a different thing that you have going on.
Yeah, I was playing Beat Saber with that exact setup just last night, and it was okay. And I wanted it to be perfect. I wanted to get the Studio Form strap and the VR cover and put them on and say, tell everyone who's having the same issue as me, oh, just get these 2 products and it's perfect. It solves every problem. But it's not perfect.
What about can I ask you real quick about those D batteries back there? Like, do they ever bang against you at all where it's like, oh shit, the D batteries are banging against my head?
I strapped them pretty tight to the back head strap just using electrical tape. And
are you worried at all though? are you worried at all by like actually using that electric tape on the real freaking Oculus strap? Like, could that, I mean, you're just doing it because you're like, okay, this is what needs to be done, but are you worried at all about like maybe damaging that back? I mean, it's just plastic, I guess, but like trying to get the, like if you ever wanted to like completely remove it and do something else, or
No, it
not
was
concerned?
fine actually because I tried the AA batteries first. And when I felt like I needed more counterweight than that, I just took the electrical tape off, no problem. It didn't even uh, leave any marks or anything on the Quest, so it didn't damage the Quest at all.
Okay. Brandon in chat says, I've had a deluxe audio strap for a week and I haven't done the mod yet. The headset is actually getting more comfortable as I learn what to adjust when. Still might just do it since it's a reversible mod. Yeah, so also, by the way, Brandon, thank you so much for your PayPal donation. Brandon recently donated $20. PayPal, awesome. Absolutely appreciate it, Brandon. And also, Dell Wolfensparger also donated $20 very, very recently. In fact, I can actually switch over to, well, I have to make a alteration if I do that. And never mind for now. We'll just stay right here. But thanks anyways. Really appreciate that. But I was going to ask you regarding the deluxe audio strap and the Franken mod that everybody talks about. Did you have any thoughts towards that? Because I've heard that like you might be able to get it for like $75 on the Windows Store or something like that.
Yeah, I've seen that. I don't know that I'm ready to go that far with it and buy something else that expensive just as an accessory. Um,
What do you do
I
audio wise when you're playing audio? Like, what do you do for the audio? Do you use the built in audio or do you have like headphones you use?
I prefer the built-in audio. I have a little bit of um, a strange feeling. You could say it's like a claustrophobic feeling. Um, Enough as it is, being completely blinded to the outside world, and then putting headphones or earbuds on top of that, not being able to hear anything in the outside world, just makes me feel a little bit weird. And I prefer just the open nature. You don't have anything covering your ears of the built-in audio. And I'm the opposite of an audiophile. I don't notice sound quality very much, so the built-in audio is just fine for me.
Okay, yeah, yeah. You know what? I mean, if you use, I was just using the built-in audio right now. I actually played just before our show today. I had like an hour or so, and I'm like, I should probably hop in the Quest, maybe try a couple things. And I played Box VR, tried that out, and then I also played Face Your Fears 2, and I got to the part in Face Your Fears 2 where all the freaking Black Widows came out.
Oh no.
And at first, all these Black Widows were minor spoiler. I won't spoil the whole thing. I actually freaking took the headset off and I'm like, no, I can't do this. I stopped. So I'm going to have to go back in it. And you know what I think I'm going to do is I got to order the mod mic. I've been freaking lazy about that. I want to order this mod mic, which is like this wireless mic that I can put on the side of the Quest. And then so I can record video but have like good audio of myself. Which the audio right now, I actually take this microphone that I have right here and I just swing it out like this. And I just stand over there and kind of yell. And that's how I get my audio if I do a Quest Let's Play. But I want to get that good mic. And I'm going to go back into that room. I'm going to go into the spider room and I'm just going to do it and just whatever happens, happens. But I was in there and these little spiders were running around. At first it was just these little spiders and I was looking at them and they look like Black Widows. But my brain quickly determined that's not a real Black Widow. Don't panic. Don't be scared. And then, but then like a couple of seconds later, you're walking a little bit farther and then I see like a Black Widow that was like scampering across this wall and it was bigger and I was like, oh hell no. I immediately popped that puppy off and I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. But I'm gonna have to go back in it. I'm gonna have to deal with it. But speaking about the audio thing, one aspect of the audio thing that's interesting is that if you don't use headphones like this, you're also going to stay cooler. What about the whole summer factor? Are you dealing with heat where you live right now? Is that going to be a consideration, like if you're playing something like Beat Saber or something?
That's a good point. I'm not all the way on the coast, but I'm the East Coast area, Eastern time zone, and it's getting warm here. And luckily, I have I have air conditioning in my apartment. I actually just had them come out and service my air conditioner because it was acting up a little bit, and it's working great now. Actually, I turned the thermostat just slightly lower, knowing I was going to be moving around and more active with the Quest, and I haven't had any issues.
You know, as a new VR person, you might want to have like an oscillating fan that you can just aim at where you're playing, like in your general play area, because they tell this to people too, is like for some reason, if you have air blowing in your face, like you won't get as motion sick as you will without air blowing in your face. It's like a weird thing. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes, I've had that tip described to me a couple of times. I don't have a fan at the moment, but it's a good tip, definitely something to consider.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool. It's not a bad idea. And I mean, did you ever see that the Vive and Chill thing that they have, where it's like a little tiny, that's actually, somebody on the Oculus Quest subreddit, I just saw this, I think either today or yesterday, a fan that you basically wear on your neck and it shoots air right up at your face. Like it's designed perfectly where you just have this thing sitting right here and it just blows like air right up into your face. So that could be good for some of those games as well. But you know what? One of the things that you just mentioned here recently, man, what were you saying that it struck me as interesting? Damn it, now I'm forgetting about it. About like playing in VR and the comfort and everything. What's the longest you've played your Quest from beginning to end?
I keep forgetting to actually look at the clock and time it, but I've played from full charge to when the battery dies.
Oh, wow. So that's pretty good time. I mean, because that's probably damn near 2 hours, right?
Yeah, probably at least 2 hours, maybe a little bit more. Um, and I don't I don't feel like I have too much of a problem spending a long time in VR. When the battery dies, I'm disappointed and I'm like, I could have gone longer.
What about like, going back to the comfort, if you simply like what's your review of just the VR cover by itself? Like if all you had was that on there, nothing else, do you feel like that face gasket thing that you get from the VR cover do you think that adds much to the equation? Is it like more comfortable? Is it easier to like wipe off sweat? I mean, what's your thoughts with that?
Personally, I don't see a big difference in the actual comfort, and that's not what I was looking for either. The two biggest factors for me were that it's easier to wipe clean. With the cloth, you can't just wipe that. And everyone was asking, well, how do I wash this if it gets sweaty or if it gets dirty? You can't. With the VR covered, with the pleather one, you could just wipe it off. And especially if I'm going to show it to anyone, I've yet to let anyone else try my Quest, but next weekend, I'll be with my family and want to show it off to them. And so especially showing it to other people, it's nice to know that you can just take, like an antibacterial wipe and wipe that off. And the second thing for me was helping with the overall fit, not necessarily the comfort of it on my face, but with that pleather VR cover, it kind of stays in place on my face better than the cloth one. The cloth one's more likely to just slide down, where that pleather material is more likely to stay put in the spot on my face. Someone in chat was mentioning a lot of it is just playing with it and figuring out exactly how and where you need to adjust it and have the straps tightened. And I do think that's part of it. The more I mess with it and the more I play with it, the more I'm kind of fine tuning where everything needs to be. And I think I'm at the point where it's comfortable enough. I'm not in total discomfort the whole time I'm playing VR. And the last little problem seems to be that every couple of minutes it just slides just the slightest bit down so that it's out of the sweet spot and it gets a little bit blurry. And so it does help a little bit for that pleather material to help hold it in place on my face. And then also with the Studio Form strap, like I said, like one of the last things I do is take the front strap of the Quest, kind of hike it up my face, and then use that piece of Velcro to stick it to the top of the studio form strap. So all those little things combine to help. Each little piece of the puzzle helps a little bit, and it's not perfect, but it's getting pretty close to acceptable.
Yeah, what do you think? Like Oculus internally, you got to imagine that there had to be somebody they tested this thing on that was like, oh, yeah, it feels perfect. It feels great. There's got to be somebody that thought it felt perfect, right? But I haven't met that person yet. So that tells me it's got to be a relatively small batch of the population that would find this very comfortable, yet they went forward with this anyway. Now, one question I have for you is if you go back to like Santa Cruz, like if I should probably find an old Santa Cruz video, but you go back to the old Santa Cruz demo, and it was pretty obvious that part of the whole thing was on the back of your head. And maybe they went away from that because it's, if you're sitting on a sofa or like a lazy boy type thing, or you're laying in bed or something and you want to lean your head back, you don't want a big battery pack thing back there. That would be very annoying. So that's why they made the decision. But do you agree with this trade-off?
It's a tough trade-off. I wouldn't want to be in their shoes making those decisions. I was just thinking that they could have done a little bit better on the fit, but it's difficult to make something that goes on your head and face that fits everyone, that fits a wide spectrum of the population. And then they could have just reduced the weight in the front a little bit by doing something like maybe using a smaller battery. But then the battery life would be even shorter than it is now, and we all want that to be longer.
Speaking of battery, is there anything weird you're doing from that standpoint? And do you have any thoughts of like external batteries, battery accessory type things, anything crazy like that?
I'm not doing anything because I'm too scared of the stories of
Like over frying it or something like that. But you
yeah.
do have that Best Buy protection plan, and
Well,
you probably would be covered. Like they wouldn't know that you freaking over fried it, but it would kind of be your fault. But
yeah, they don't ask too many questions, especially when it's just a replacement plan. It is really nice that you can walk into the store, say it's not working, and they pretty much just hand you a new one. But in those cases, I'm a little bit more worried about my safety, and I know it's an overblown fear that people have been doing this for a year with the Go. No one's ever had a problem, but it is
oh, you
true
mean
that
like it would explode or something?
yeah, the
Oh,
overheating,
really? Okay.
when a lithium ion battery
Ah,
is charging, it's, it's possible for it to overheat. There are safety mechanisms in place, so it's not supposed to do that. But it's possible for it to overheat. And, I'm just a little bit afraid of having that thing strapped to my face. So I'm not interested in charging it while I'm wearing it. I'm happy to just use it for the battery life and then take it off and charge it back up again. And I realize, like I said, that it's a little bit of an overblown fear that's not very likely to happen, but I'm still a little bit of a wuss about that.
quick question. So, like, if we were thinking about the Oculus Quest 2 and what we would want most from the Oculus Quest 2, a couple of things that do jump into my mind about it. I mean, obviously, we would want it to be a lot more comfortable than this one was. I mean, so that definitely would be a big one. We'd love it to have like multiple accounts, which would be kind of cool. That's well, people with families, other people they want to use it with. That would be a big thing for a lot of people. Some of us would want. Like, what about the battery? I always thought, wouldn't it be awesome if you could get additional batteries and they were like hot swappable in some kind of way, where basically what they would do is they would design the Quest where it would have like some kind of internal battery that might only last for like 5 minutes. And that battery would just be for the times when you're hot swapping the other battery. And so then you'd actually have packs and you could just hit a button, you pop it out, you grab your other one that's already charged, you pop it in. I mean, maybe you could even do this while you have the whole thing on and you just have like a battery slot that you slot them in and out. Do you think that's something we might see in future quests?
I would love to see it. I had the exact same thought as you. I thought they could just put a little button cell watch battery in there to hold you over for, the 3 minutes where it gives you the warning that the battery is about to die. And you can you can hot swap them, and then you never have to stop while you're using one, the other one's charging. It would be perfect. Um, do I think we'll see it though? I get the feeling that we won't because the entire industry is moving away from user replaceable batteries. It bothers me now that in my phone, I can't just have a spare battery that's charged, in my bag or in my desk drawer or something. They're all sealed inside the unit. So just because the entire industry seems to be moving away from that, I don't know if we'll see it, even though it would be great.
That's true. We don't really see that. Like that's not like usually it in all kinds of devices. Like it's pretty much in there. Like you have to like sometimes even in like little Nintendo portables and stuff, you have to use like special screwdrivers to get it open to get into where the battery is or something like that. So it doesn't seem to be something that they want to do. But when you're, what about? Here's the question I actually wanted to ask you. So that one of the downsides of this whole battery thing is like let's say you have all day, you have all day and it's raining and you could just play your quest all day, you got nothing to do, and so you're like, I'm just going to have a day of playing the quest. Well, you play it, the battery runs out, then you got to charge it, you got to go do something else. Now it kind of works out because I mean, really, do you want to play 4 hours in a row? So you get a break, you can go do something else. But it does take like 2 hours to charge the thing. And like for me, like if I had a day like this where I could do that, I would just like, oh, okay, I'll charge my Quest. Now I'm hopping on PSVR and I'm going to try to play some Blood and Truth, or I'm going to hop on my Oculus Rift and play Trover or something like that. But for you, your Quest is the Alpha and the Omega. So like waiting for it to charge, is that like a problem at all?
It hasn't been too painful so far. Um, I think last night I, hopped on Reddit and ate dinner while it was charging, and then it actually turned out to be perfect timing, and it was charged back up, and I got back in. So, it's not too bad. It's definitely livable.
Regarding the chart, I mean, I've heard like 2 hours of battery use and 2 hours to fully charge it. Is that actually true? Do you know? I mean, I haven't tested it, but I
I haven't
guess,
tested or timed it either, but that sounds roughly right to 2 hours of use and then 2 hours to charge it back up.
yeah. Okay. Is there anything else, like, since we're on the subject of like a Quest 2 and something? Wait a minute. Okay. Actually, here's the biggest question. What do you think is the most important feature the Quest 2 should feature? And here's a couple of them, like hot swappable batteries, that's one. Dramatically improved comfort is another one. Multiple accounts that people can use. But another one is, oh, damn it. Now I just forgot what I was going to try to say about it. Um, okay, wait. We've got hot swappable batteries, comfort, and there was an I know what, the Chromecast thing, like actual casting. Like we do not have perfect casting. Do you remember like I don't know how many months ago, this was one of the big things I was worried about with this thing, because I kind of feel like it should be just easy as pie. And then even when you like, even the people that have figured out how to finally cast it with their Chromecast Ultra or whatever they happen to have, and they finally get it working relatively well, even those people will say that like the video is like, the stream isn't on, the sound is distorted, etc., etc. And I think this is a super huge issue. And like a lot of people are kind of like not really thinking that it's that big of an issue. I think it's a really big issue from the standpoint that I don't think VR is ever going to go 100% mainstream if you can't easily show people what the person is doing in the headset. I think that is fundamental. And I almost feel like when they're designing the Quest 2, like figure that aspect of it out where it's freaking flawless. The video signal is perfect, the audio is perfect. Figure that shit out before you do anything else. Like it should never leave the design table until they figure this out. Have you tried any streaming casting to your phone or anything else? Have you tried that?
I haven't tried casting. I have a Chromecast, but it's the original one. So I haven't tried to do it, but I don't think it'll work. I think you need the second or third generation for it to work. I haven't tried casting it to my phone either. I have live streamed to Facebook, setting it to private, not actually live streaming to anyone who's watching it on Facebook, but live streamed it to Facebook with it set to private so that I could later download that video and just have it as a video file. Unfortunately, the quality of that is terrible. And that's coming from someone who's not an audiophile, and I'm not huge on, everything has to be really high resolution and high fidelity. Some of it was just almost unwatchable how pixelated it is, and the audio, sometimes it just gets really bad. So it's very, very poor quality, but it is a way to completely wirelessly and, without screwing around with the Android debug bridge and having all sorts of cords and wires hooked up to your computer. You mentioned that you wanted to get that mod mic and just all these other parts and pieces and, crap that you have to go through. It's just completely wireless. You live stream to Facebook, and then you can just download that video file. But like I said, it's really bad quality.
That's the problem. The problem is it's like, oh, can you cast this? Yeah, you can. But and so like you'll see these threads on the Oculus Quest subreddit. It's like, oh, how do you cast it? You do this. But when you do it, it's kind of ass. That's the problem, man. And that is that's a real problem. Like, imagine when you're trying to just show your Quest to someone else and you can't even see what they're seeing. You might be able to cast it to your phone, but I don't know. I haven't had it needs to be just crazy easy. Like it can't be like you're trying to download a mod and you're trying to sideload Pavlov onto your Quest or something. It's got to be crazy easy. And one thing I think they could possibly do for like Quest 2 or maybe even this Quest, it might be too late, but could they release some kind of little device that is like $40 that is designed very specifically to work with the Quest? Maybe they could have it on some special megahertz or whatever. Maybe this would have to be for Quest 2 or whatever, but like some little dongle that you could get for like $30 or $40. It has an HDMI output on one side. And so you go over to somebody's house, you're like, hey, can I just plug this in? And maybe you don't even need to use like their router or anything. Maybe it's just wirelessly communicating with the Quest somehow. They need to figure this out because we need perfect video, perfect audio, not so much for like YouTubers and people trying to create content, but just for going to a party and showing somebody playing Beat Saber or showing somebody like me in a thing with spiders where I'm screaming like a little girl. Like, this is the stuff that is going to sell it to the masses. We need that. But what's crazy? We've been going for 32 minutes now, and we've been almost entirely talking about all of the worst aspects of the Oculus Quest. And so let's switch it up. Let's go to the positive side of the coin. Because one thing I'll say is, despite all of these complaints that we've been airing about comfort and everything, I'm absolutely in love with this little product, man. Every day, I have a Rift. I have a PlayStation VR. I have PC VR. I even have like new games that I can play on it. But I find myself gravitating back over there. Oh, you can't really see it, but you might see my controllers over there. But my Quest is sitting over there, and that's my move, man. I go to the Quest before I go to anything else. And I think part of it is like that new console experience, because the Quest is a new console. Did you used to get like any new consoles back in the days where like you get a new gaming console and it's just, there's an excitement about that, and so you, even though you might have older consoles, you return to that new one on a daily basis because there's that new love to it.
Yeah, I haven't had a lot of consoles over the years. I had the original PlayStation. I did get a Nintendo DS a while back. But I know what you mean. It's the new thing, and you want to, you've got the honeymoon period with it.
Yeah, and it hasn't expired yet for me. There's still, I actually was just about to get into Orbis Online. I've never even tried it, and I've still got a lot of stuff on there that I've, like today I just tried Box VR for the first time. I had never tried Box VR, and so I still got good stuff that I can jump into, and there's still great games that I'm playing right now. So speaking of games, why don't we go into that? So What has been your favorite Oculus experience so far in the Quest? Like a meaty experience that you've had?
I don't know if I can pick a favorite. They're all cool.
Okay, what's some of your favorites? Like, what are some of your favorite children? There's a couple of them, but which ones would you call
um,
out?
One that stands out is Job Simulator, and I think
Okay.
part of it is because I had seen it so long ago. Probably right when CV1 and Vive were first coming onto the market. Job Simulator was a launch title for those, right? And I watched lots of different videos of people playing that, and it just looked so fun. It looked like um, they were in a giant toy box, and like they were having a ton of fun. And if I had been given the opportunity to play one and only one VR game, knowing that I would never get to play another game besides that, I probably would have picked Job Simulator. And it was one of the first things I went into on the Quest, and it didn't let me down. It was great. And it felt just like being in a giant toy box and just playing around and just trying out all the different things that you could do, the kind of like the Easter eggs. Um, and I really enjoyed it. I went back into some of the levels, like the first one, the office worker. I went back
So
into it
wait,
just to play around more.
so you've ran through the entire thing?
Not the whole game yet.
Okay.
I've been through three of the four levels: um, the office
Jobs.
worker, the gourmet chef, and the convenience store clerk. I haven't gotten
Okay.
to the auto mechanic yet.
What's your favorite so far of the three ones you did?
The office worker. I
Oh.
get the feeling that they put the most work and love and effort into that one, and then things started to trail off as they went on designing levels. I think they're the most, at least of what I could find, the most Easter eggs and just fun little things that you can do in the office level so far.
Yeah, the comedy, I mean, just being able to interact with so many different things. And then on the Quest, the freedom to just move around and like go over here, go over there. Have you tried, like, when you've had your Quest, have you like experimented with like the play size, the play space that you've been using with any different games? Have you noticed any kind of differences if you had like a really small play space or a bit of a bigger one?
I haven't really had the opportunity to play around with that. Um, I have one area here that is actually a little bit small. Like when I first made my Guardian boundary, it told me it wasn't the recommended size. But I slide my coffee table over maybe 2 feet and have a space here in my living room that I use. But it's not the biggest space, but it's been working out you know just fine for me so far. But I haven't really tried anything different or anything larger or smaller.
Yeah, I still haven't done the park thing. I want to do it. I got to get the mod mic and everything, and then I'm gonna try to do the park thing. I want to run around with some Apex Construct. Okay, so Job Simulator. I mean, it's fantastic. It really is. Was this $20? I'm trying to remember what it priced.
Yes.
Yeah, $20. Okay, yeah. So $20, very solid. And the beautiful thing about it working so well is that maybe they could port Rick and Morty and it would work just as well. And then, of course, Vacation Simulator is coming later this year. And with the engine working well right here, although Vacation Simulator a little bit different, but hopefully that will work just as good. But yeah, I was surprised because I honestly was a little bit worried about this game. Because back in 2016, when I had like my 970 and all of that, I had some issues with it. It didn't really like the really old Intel CPU that I had. And so, because it's got a lot of physics going on. I mean, there's so many little things you're picking up and grabbing and manipulating. But yeah, so what would be another one that you really liked?
Um, I really enjoyed Beat Saber. I only uh, broke down and shelled out the $40 for it just yesterday. I got the
Wow.
the game plus the Imagine Dragons
Okay.
music pack, and um, until then, I was playing the demo over and over, which was luckily the song out of all of them that I most wanted to play was Escape. And so
Yeah.
I've been playing the
But
demo,
it's
and I
too
full
easy,
comboed it.
huh? The demo was too easy, though.
Yeah, I full comboed it pretty quickly and was just playing that over and over. But I knew that they were teasing that something was coming on. What was it, June 10th? And I wanted to to get bundle pricing, knowing that they increased the price a little bit when they left early access. Um, so I decided to wait, and they did have the bundle available on the Quest store, where you get the game and the Imagine Dragons music pack all together for $40, and still a little bit more than I would like to have paid, but I actually downloaded that just yesterday, and I'm really enjoying Beat Saber so far. I think I'm going to get a lot of play out of that.
Yeah, it's such a great translation. It is basically perfect. It's pretty much flawless. And did you notice when you got the full game and you played Escape in the full game, like the background is different, and then obviously you can do the different difficulty levels with it, which changes it quite a bit. Because that's one of the demo, like they give you the full song of Escape. It's the actual full song. But it's just, unfortunately, you don't have like difficulty levels, and the background is kind of like a more simplistic background that they use rather than like the real song. I mean, not that the background's a major improvement, but it's a little bit different.
I didn't even notice the background at all. I had no idea that was different. Obviously, I noticed
you're
that you
too
could only play
focused on
yeah. Obviously, you can only play it on normal difficulty on the demo. So then I tried it on hard. I didn't have any problem with that, and it's the first and only song I've tried on expert so far, and I got pretty close. I think I got really close to the end of the song on expert, but didn't quite pass it. But I was going through the songs one by one, the whole volume one.
Do you have like a second favorite song besides Escape?
I haven't played everything yet.
Have you tried Pop Stars? Or,
yes.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, I was playing that one just before my battery died. I really enjoyed that one. And I was surprised at how much I liked $100 Bills. Because, of course, I'd heard the song. I've watched other people play it in videos. And just that's a song I would just never listen to. It's not the kind of style that I would enjoy just as music. But the beat map was really good. I was like, I like this. This is fun.
Yeah, those songs work. They just work well, And so I've noticed that in a lot of VR games. There's stuff that I would never choose this on the radio. It wouldn't be something I would pick. But in the game, it just works. And that whole soundtrack they have. It sucks for people, though, that just hate, like that music just irritates the crap out of them. For me, it's like I can kind of like adapt to whatever. And so, but the pop stars... Like, see, I don't listen to the radio, so I haven't had these songs, like, ruined for me because you hear them forever or whatever. It's just so played out or whatever. And so, like, that was cool. I enjoyed that. Like, I actually like it a lot better in Audica, though. I don't know why Audica's not on the Quest yet. You know what? Actually, speaking of that real quick, why don't we transition... now you probably haven't tried any of this, but like this streaming stuff that everybody's doing where they're streaming Steam VR games. Cause I actually saw Audica in my Oculus Quest. It didn't really work, but I saw it in there. Is that something you've ever thought about? Of course you would need like a PC with a graphics card that can, barely handle this stuff, right?
Yeah, I thought about it, and I think it's really cool that it's available, whether it's through sideloading ALVR or RiftCat, or whether it's what you now have to sideload for virtual desktop. I think it's really cool that people who have a PC capable of VR have that option. And like you said, it's not going to be perfect for every game. Something that is latency sensitive is probably just going to be a little bit of a mess. But I think it's cool that people have that option. For myself, I vaguely thought of it. I have Subnautica on my laptop, my crappy little laptop with Intel integrated graphics, and it runs. I've played Subnautica flat on my laptop, and I've thought about, at some point I'm sure I'll at least try it. Could I run it in VR on my laptop and stream it to my Quest? I do have a new 5 gigahertz AC router, so that I don't think would be the problem, but will my
laptop would be
run
with integrated graphics
in the VR mode?
That would be hard. That would be very hard to do. So what about like I mean, this would be going down an entirely another rabbit hole, right? But like if you somehow, like on Craigslist or something, right, you find somebody that has like an old PC where for them it's like crazy old, but maybe it's got like a 960 in it or something, you know, and it would just have enough. And this would be complicated for you as well, trying to figure out like, what do I need to even run Steam VR halfway decent from a CPU, memory, all these different things. But sometimes, like if you ever watch your local Craigslist, you'll see crazy things appear sometimes where somebody's just like, oh, I'm just going to get rid of this and I'll just put it out there for $100. And it's like got a decent graphics card and you could be like, man, I could buy this for $100 and I could be up and running on Steam VR, streaming it into my Quest, and I could try a lot of weird stuff that otherwise I would never be able to try. And a lot of it is free as well, like some of these experiences and stuff.
Yeah, it would be a rabbit hole to go down. I don't see myself doing that. Certainly not anytime soon. I really like the convenience and portability of having a laptop, and then to have the upkeep on on a PC as well, and keeping all the drivers up to date, and and spending the money on a PC, and then
just
like
wait for Quest 2. Wait for Quest. I mean, going all that road. But yeah, that's the question about this thing. Like, who is this for? Like, who does this really benefit, this streaming stuff? Because I mean, I tried it and I actually was playing this game, Space Ops VR, and I was playing it in here and it worked a little bit, and I was like, okay, let me go into my, let me go over to the other room out there and set up a little boundary, and I'm playing Space Ops VR, and I'm like telling my kids, I'm like, hey, I'm playing a Steam VR game, and I'm like not in Steam VR, and I'm using my Quest. This is kind of amazing. And it's that gee whiz thing. But then once that wears off, like, who is this really for? I guess if you happen to have had a computer in your house that had like a 960 in it, you would be like, oh, I can now try the lab. And, I can try the lab from Valve, or I could play a Boneworks demo or something crazy in my Quest. But for the people that don't already have the graphics card, like, who is this really for?
Right. It's, a lot of the people in the online VR community who are on Reddit, who are, watching your show and in your chat, who have a VR ready PC and probably already had either a Rift or a Vive, and they got the Quest for the strictly wireless and portability feature, or strictly for showing to other people. So now they have both, but that's, in the larger scheme of things, that's probably a smaller portion of Quest owners. Most are probably in the boat like me, where they don't have a gaming PC to begin with.
See, I don't have the proper router and some of the other things that you need to like make this like really, really work. But I wonder if I did, like if I had all the optimal stuff that you would want to have to stream this in the best possible way, could I actually play something like Audica in that headset and be like, yeah, I'm really enjoying this. This is basically the same Audica game. Or would it always feel like it's PlayStation Now or Google Stadia or something? Like something is always kind of effed up about it, where it's just like, I'm sure I could play a walking simulator, I'm sure that would work just fine, but anything where you'd have to like want to have, you're grabbing things, you're shooting things, and you want pinpoint accuracy, like if I'm playing Zed, I'm sure that would be fine. I'm just teleporting through the world. Do you think anybody could actually like enjoy this to the point where they're like, yeah, I would rather play it on my wireless Quest, and I feel like it's the best experience?
I don't know. I don't have a grasp for how bad the latency is. And just hearing other people's reports, it's hard to tell if they're just so, enamored by the novelty of it, by the fact that it works and they can do it, and they're kind of glossing over how much latency there is. That's really hard to say.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. And what about, we could talk about Kerfuffle 2019, or what has happened this last week in the Oculus Quest world. And so one of the things we can consider really quick here is Oculus themselves. So we've heard some little rumors that they might be providing something like this themselves. and that would connect, you would think, directly to like the Oculus Rift store. And so the connection streaming, like you're logged into your Oculus Rift store and it's all Oculus. And so you would think maybe like it could have even less latency somehow. Like if Oculus provides this themselves, do you think that might happen? And do you think we're going to have to pay for it? Will it be like a membership? Will it just be like a one-time fee? I mean, I know you're not that interested in it because you don't really have the computer, but just as from a fan of Oculus in general.
It's an interesting thought, wasn't it? Was it John Carmack who said something about this could work so much better? Um,
Yeah.
hinting at or alluding to that possibility. I don't see it coming from Oculus anytime soon. That's one of those things that seems to me like maybe like a Quest 2 kind of deal. And I'm sure if they were going to do it, that they would make sure that it's good quality, that they could get the latency low enough that it's going to be a good experience before they would release it to the masses. So if they can do that, that would be a really interesting idea. But I also think they might just leapfrog that because, like you said, who's that going to be for? Who is going to be primarily a Quest owner, someone who doesn't have a Rift S, someone who doesn't have a CV1 or a Vive, who just has a Quest, but also has the PC powerful enough to run that. They might leapfrog that completely, and in a Quest 2, as some people have rumored, they might go for like a streaming service where they're streaming PC VR games from their servers directly over the internet to your Quest or your Quest 2.
Do you think that is that like I hear what you're saying and that's definitely what we're moving towards, but do you think that's going to happen that quickly? Because I kind of feel like that would be more Quest 3 rather than Quest 2.
It might be because it's not something that just Oculus can control. Consumers need the hardware on their end, and you need the infrastructure. If you're going to have this all going over 5G, you need to have 5G in all the neighborhoods in all the different cities across the country and across the world, and we're not there yet. I mean, there are places that are, kind of in the middle of nowhere who are still relying on satellite internet, which is awful and crappy, and people who have, even if they have broadband, there's only one company where they can get it from, and it's bad. So it would require the entire infrastructure of enough consumers having access to that for it to even work.
Yeah, okay, so I'm running a trailer right now, To the Top. This, of course, is Electric Hat Games, and it's kind of a beloved game for people that have played it and know about it. Like, most people like this game that have played it. Not everybody, but most people do. And so earlier this week, so let's go back before everything was made good, and earlier this week, we found out that To the Top, Oculus was basically saying, this is like a tech demo. We're not interested. No, thank you. And speculation, do they know what this game is? Was it a case of they really they think this is like motion sickness on a stick? And they don't want to put something like this in the Oculus store because even though all of us VR veterans are probably going to be able to hop right in it and we're all good to go, they've got to think about the average Joe Blows out there, the people that are brand new, they don't necessarily have their VR legs, and they don't want them to encounter something like this accidentally and be turned off from VR forever. Like, what is going on here? Or do you think they just didn't know what To the Top is, or did they really believe that, oh, this is just kind of a crappy tech demo? I mean, of course, anything could be the actual truth of the matter.
Yeah, we obviously have no way of knowing for sure, but if I had to guess, I would say it had to be someone who was working there who made that specific decision, just didn't know their stuff, didn't know what To the Top was, didn't know that it's been released on PlayStation, where Sony has a really high bar for quality. And
people love this game on PlayStation too. Like,
yeah.
People are a fan of this game.
I think that they just, I don't know, looked at it themselves and, made a judgment and made an assumption without really knowing how popular it is. I don't understand how that person couldn't have just done a quick glance at how well it's sold and the reviews that it has on the Oculus store too. But that would have to be my guess as to what happened in that particular case. Or maybe there is something small that Oculus wants them to change or improve before they want to bring it to the Quest. But this was actually on a little list that I had of, before Oculus Connect back in the fall, before we knew anything that was going to be able to come to the Quest, back when it was still called Santa Cruz. I had a list of specific titles that I was hoping might come over, and To the Top was one of them. So I'll be really excited if they can get it figured out, and I can give it a try.
Yeah, I mean, the soundtrack of that game is just freaking fantastic. But again, it's one of these things where, like, I wouldn't be listening to that soundtrack on the radio, but in To the Top, and even like maybe the very first time I played To the Top, I might have not thought, oh, this soundtrack is really good. But it's like, you play it and it starts to just grow on you. And then another thing I've noticed, and this is with a lot of Oculus Quest games, is like I've played Apex Construct, and there was some other game I played where the sound of the game is identical to the sound in like the bass, like the movie quality soundtrack. I was using these though, I will say that. But like Apex Construct, like there's certain parts of Apex Construct where the bass is like deep and strong, and you're like, wow, this is like a movie soundtrack, and it sounds absolutely perfect on the Oculus Quest. There's no degradation whatsoever, and there really shouldn't be, but sometimes that's not always the case. Beat Saber as well. Like if you're using really good headphones, it's going to have that bass, that thump, and everything. And I'm thinking of the soundtrack of To the Top would sound great in that. And I know it might be watered down a little bit. Now in chat, Aldebert and Nito says, To the Top is a crappy game. I think they prefer people buying the Climb instead. To the Top is not a crappy game. Not even close to being a crappy game. But I will, and like Grid Nav says, To the Top looks fun, but it does look incomplete. Okay, Onakaze says, they flat out made a mistake for To the Top. It's even more glaring since they okayed the plank experience thing. Yeah, I think it's even more glaring because we have Swords of Gargantua, which people are saying is kind of crappy, and yet we don't have To the Top. To the Top, I think, is an awesome game, but of course, it's different opinions, right? But To the Top is one of these games, it's not easy to learn. And so I don't know that like Gary of VR Roundtable or Steve of VR Roundtable or Chris or anybody, I don't think anybody fell in love with To the Top like I did, because some people will try To the Top, they'll play it and they'll like, I don't really get it. I don't get how this works. And the hell with this. I don't want to, some people will just like, the hell with this. I don't want to play it. They give it 5 minutes. It doesn't feel right to them. And they're like, F it. I don't want to do this. And it does have a learning curve. But I do think it's awesome. Have you tried Project, I was going to call it Project Scramble. It's actually called Sports Scramble now that we have the official name and everything. Did you try there's a demo for this, right?
Yeah, I tried the demo. I was really terrible at it. And I tried to do multiplayer. I was kind of surprised that they had a multiplayer option in the demo, and it kept saying that it was trying to connect and then that it failed. And I spent 10 or 15 minutes hitting that button over and over again trying to get a multiplayer in the Sports Scramble demo, and I never got it.
I think it might just have that there as an accident, and it really doesn't have multiplayer for the demo, but somehow they just left that thing in. I would guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that might be a possibility.
But you know what? I got the full version of Sports Scramble, and I tried to get in multiplayer, and but it was kind of late at night, and I'm on the West Coast, so the rest of the world is mostly asleep, and I was in the waiting area, like waiting, and nobody ever hopped on. That's the problem with multiplayer. Now the thing is, with Quest, we do have a vibrant Quest community where there's a lot of excitement with Quest. It's selling very well. It's pretty much sold out everywhere. We could kind of talk about the success of it. It seems like the launch, besides these little minor community issues, has been wildly successful. What would you say to that?
It's hard to evaluate without having actual numbers. You never know how many they had manufactured and ready to go. There's always the thing, where people say that they try and create artificial scarcity, but it is surprisingly hard to get your hands on one. There are always posts on Reddit asking, where is it in stock? I keep calling my local Best Buy every day. How long do I have to wait for it to ship? So it seems um, like they're having trouble keeping up with the demand, and um, all of the reviews from the tech journalism community seem to be very positive. Um, the feedback from the VR community in general, um, I think the comfort and fit seems to be the number one gripe on everyone's minds. But other than that, I haven't heard a lot of complaints. A lot of us are all equally loving our quests, and then they did release, I think, a revenue figure of sales from the store, um, and people were. I don't really have a sense myself. I don't have like a business sense of how good or bad a number that was, but people were spreading that around as news. The revenue they brought in from the Quest store in its first however many days or weeks, and that would be a pretty good indicator too. What I would really like to know is, did the Quest launch meet or exceed what Facebook's expectation for it was? Like to sit in on one of their investor meetings
Yeah.
and hear them say, okay, this has actually surpassed our expectation of how good we thought it was going to do. And I think that would be a really good indicator of saying that it was wildly successful.
Well, the one thing, I mean, we don't know, and yeah, it's all speculation, and it's kind of weird because these are publicly traded companies, and I'm surprised that they're able to like keep these things secret as long as they are. Like we still don't even know what the official, we don't know how many Oculus Rifts have been sold, and it's been available for over 3 years, and we've never gotten official numbers whatsoever. Sony is the only one that actually says we've sold this amount exact, which is kind of weird. But one thing is like regarding the prices and stuff, have you ever, like, are you kind of surprised that we don't have other pricing tiers in the store? Like Vader Immortal is $9.99, but I don't know if I would consider that a game. It's kind of more of an experience. And then to get to the real games, they're all $15, and then it goes to like $19, and it goes to $24 and $29. So it seems like they kind of have these pricing tiers. And going back to kind of this curation that is going on, one of the concerns maybe with Pavlov, we first heard that Pavlov was not going to come to the Quest. It seemed like it was super bad, like really pissed off on both sides almost, from the developer and Oculus, like they weren't really understanding each other. Now they've made up and everything's good, and we are going to get Pavlov. But one of the concerns is that Pavlov, if you go to Steam, $9.99, it's always been $10. Maybe Oculus is, I mean, pure conjecture on my part, but maybe Oculus is like, you know what, we really don't want games at $10. We kind of want them to start at 15. Maybe they told that to Dave Vills. That might have been one thing where he's like, it's always been $9.99. I don't really want that. Now, that's just pure conjecture on my part. But do you think it's kind of strange, like when you look at Oculus Go and everything, and you got games that are like $4.99, $3.99, $7.99? We haven't really seen that on Quest.
Yeah, I think there was a moment when some of the websites released the pricing for all of the games, and then some of the developers came out and said, okay, we're leaving early access and launching on Quest at the same time, so our price is going up. And primarily being Beat Saber, they increased their price by $10. I think Box VR was another who increased their price. And I think it was a little bit of a shock to everyone, just because a precedent had already been set for some of these lower prices or early access prices on PC VR, as well as the kind of mobile prices on the go. And a lot of people were thinking, oh, well, this should be kind of in line with what we see on the go because it's a mobile device. And I think we were all just a little bit shocked when we saw that the pricing on Quest is almost the highest of them all. And that could very well be one of the things that was happening with Pavlov. I heard a rumor somewhere, not anything confirmed, that that was one of the issues, that maybe the developer wanted to price it lower and Oculus wanted to have it at a higher price. It's actually funny that you mention it, because something I just recently downloaded and played was Puppet Fever. And I'd never heard of it. It just launched on the Quest store like out of nowhere. It was almost like a secret launch. No one talked about it. I hadn't heard anyone saying anything about it. I had no idea what it was. So I Googled it and went to the Steam page for it. And I said, oh, it's available on Steam. And it's in early access on Steam, and it cost $15. And it's free on the Quest store. I'm like, what's going on there? And the only thing I can imagine is that Oculus said, oh, you want people to pay $15 for this? No, it's not good enough to be $15. You can have it on our store, but it has to be free. So there's something weird going on with their curation and pricing, and I'm not quite sure what their formula is, but there's definitely something weird going on.
Okay, I'll just mention in chat, a lot of people are speculating on like how many thousand units have been sold. Paradise Decay says, I would say more like 500,000 units sold. That's really high. That would be 500,000 that quick. That would be super high. Paolo Triani says, I'm thinking 250,000 sold. And Jim Hall says, no way they sold 500K. My guess is 150K. And, just a lot of speculation all over the board there. But one of the things I will mention in terms of like how many did sell, like we don't know those numbers, but it was one of the podcasts for Tested with Jeremy Williams and Norman Chan, and it was like one of the podcasts that they do, not like the ones that they do have a video version of it, but they're just kind of sitting at a table doing a podcast. It's called This Is Just a Test. And one of the episodes they were mentioning, like they were asking Oculus, this is way before the Quest was going to come out, and they were asking Oculus, are you guys going to have shortages? Will this be a hard to find product? And Oculus responded to them like we wish. Like, no, we're going to have plenty of supply. If we have shortages, then that's the best thing ever, because man, we'd have to sell a ton of them. And they basically, something like that, kind of paraphrase all of that, right? But it seemed like the gist of what Oculus was communicating to them was like, I wish we'd have shortages, because that would mean we're wildly successful. And here we are, they do have shortages. So maybe, based on that Tested thing, maybe they did kind of exceed their initial expectations, if nothing else.
Yeah, that would be great news for VR if they thought they were prepared and they had all their manufacturing in line, and that they didn't expect there to be any kind of difficulty or problems with availability. And yet here we are, and I wouldn't say they're sold out or completely out of stock of them. But sometimes it's a wait. It's a little bit tough to get your hands on one sometimes. So if that's the case, that's really great news for VR.
Yeah, the big question is going to be this Christmas. Will this become that hot Christmas thing that everybody, will this become a wildly successful Christmas thing? And I really think, man, they need a Beat Saber bundle. I don't care if they maybe bundle Beat Saber with the 128 gig version and just keep the price the way it is, and this is the special Beat Saber package for Christmas or something like that. Speaking of the 128 and the 64 gigs, so obviously you've had your Quest for a while now. I know a certain amount is reserved for the operating system. People will say you got 44, 48, whatever, something gigs are available there. You've probably been downloading any free thing that is there, and then the games that you've bought as well. How are you doing as far as storage? I'm guessing you haven't noticed any problem whatsoever yet.
I actually haven't checked my storage. I vaguely thought about it last night because I purchased Beat Saber, and then I looked at my library and I thought to myself, can I uninstall the demo to save space? And then I didn't go any further looking into that. I didn't look at my storage to see where I'm at, because I'm not having any kind of issue at the moment. But yeah, I haven't bought and downloaded everything that I want so far, partly because it costs money.
Well, thinking about that, in terms of where have you thrown your money? So we know you've tried Job Simulator. Maybe you
Mhm.
can mention another favorite of yours that Beat Saber. So Job Simulator and Beat Saber, you're really loving those. And Job Sim was $20. Beat Saber,
Mhm.
you went for the super pack, so that was
Mhm.
$40. What else have you thrown money at?
So before the Quest launched, before I even had one, I bought I Expect You to Die
Oh,
and
okay.
Tilt Brush on a sale. I think it was the like a spring flash sale that Oculus had, and those had been confirmed as cross-buy. So I picked up I Expect You to Die. I think I paid $15 for it, and I paid $10 for Tilt Brush. And um, I went into Tilt Brush and I messed around. It's really cool, and I'm just so surprised at all the different effects that they were able to bring through for the Quest. I don't think I've had um, the creative muse strike me yet to think of something really cool to go in there and create. So I only just went in and messed around in Tilt Brush a little bit. But I have played I Expect You to Die. I've done only the first two levels so far. And I know that they're about to drop another one, I think next month. Um, but man, I Expect You to Die is fun. They did such a great job with that game. Um, and it's kind of mind-boggling to think that when it first released, there weren't even Oculus Touch controllers, I don't think.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I heard
it's
the
almost
Quest
like it's kind of
version.
designed for that.
Yeah. I heard the Quest version is really good. Like it's pretty good. I haven't tried it yet. We actually have it for VR Roundtable, and I was thinking maybe I should play this on Rift just because it was a PC VR. Well, that's another thing too. I mean, you don't really have this debate, but if you had like a Rift setup, would it be weird to think like, should I play Shadow Point on this? Should I play Vader Immortal on that? Vader Immortal, we didn't know that it was going to come next. Supposedly Thursday, it's going to arrive for Rift players. Do you think that would be weird, where you'd have like these? You'd have to decide, where am I going to play this? I mean, it's nice to have them in both accounts, of course.
I don't think I would have that dilemma. I think if I had the option, um, I would just decide, okay, am I in my room where I have my PC set up anyway? Am I like spending the whole afternoon or evening, doing PC VR, or am I just hanging out in the living room? Or obviously, if you're taking it to a friend's house or somewhere else, you want to use the Quest. But I don't think I would be too hung up on the dilemma of trying to choose where's the better place to have that experience.
With all this cross buy that you're doing, I mean, you're getting all these games, right? And it's going to cross buy for you the other way as well, where if you were to get a Rift at some point, like let's say you end up getting a better laptop at some point, and then you're like, oh, I could get like a Rift S is like really cheap, and you could get one for your laptop. You'd have this like library that is already established, like you're building games kind of in this Rift library. If you ever did go that way, do you think that'll ever factor into your decisions, like maybe a couple years down the line?
I mean, I would have to be really far down the line. Definitely don't see it really happening anytime soon, but it's definitely something to, keep in mind.
Brandon in chat says gaming teacher. And actually, gaming science teacher. Okay, she is a science teacher that likes gaming. She does not teach gaming science. But that would be cool if you did. But he says, gaming teacher, the game changer in Tilt Brush is loading up other artists' work and zooming in and out of that. It's mind blowing when you learn to use the grips well for maneuvering.
Oh, I have loaded up some of the things from the gallery, things that other artists have made, and I have been blown away by just how they've used the tools and kind of the stunning scenes that they've created, and trying to look at them and get some sort of inspiration. And I just like draw a flower or something. But I didn't know that you could use the grips for moving around. I was doing the teleport thing.
I think for like
So
expanding, for like like zooming the world
oh,
out and zooming it
almost
back
like
down.
you're
Oops.
pinching and zooming
Yeah.
using that. Okay, I'll have to give that a try.
So, when you think about upcoming Quest games, there's actually a lot. In fact, let's see here. I haven't even done the webinar yet. Let's go here. Let me just bring up like top 40 most wanted Oculus Quest games real quick, and then we'll bounce over to this, and then I got you on there. I just got to make you bigger. So let's go ahead and put you right here. And I actually got you in a nice square. I don't know why people are now in squares when they were widescreen. Something happened. Okay, there we go. Oh, I don't have chat over here. Okay, hold on. Let me get chat over here. Sorry, guys. I should do all these things way in advance, and sometimes I don't. So let me copy this and chat for browser. And pop this in here. And then boom. Okay, there we go. Okay, so this is currently our top 40 most wanted Oculus Quest VR games, and it shouldn't really have VR in there. It should just say Oculus Quest games. But anyway, number 1 on our list here, we just updated this very recently, Arizona Sunshine, Echo Arena, Vacation Simulator, Onward, The Climb, Population 1, Racket NX, Nostos, Pixel Ripped, 11 Table Tennis VR, Phantom Covert Ops, Shadow Legends, Sariento, Chronos, The Under Presents, which is by Tender Claws. They made virtual reality, Groundhog Day, Fuji. Actually, you know what? I think this is even more updated. Is this still the same list? Hold on, I need to refresh this. This might not even be the... Yeah, no, there's been some changes here. So I'm not even got on the new list. Okay, this is our newest list. Arizona Sunshine, Echo Arena, Pavlov, Vacation Simulator, Onward, eSpire 1 has now jumped into the mix. Population 1, The Climb, Racket NX, Nostos, Battle Wake by Servios, Pixel Ripped, 11 Table Tennis VR, Phantom Covert Ops, Shadow Legend, To the Top is back on the list, Sariento VR, Chronos, The Under Presents, Groundhog Day. We go down to like 21. We got Fuji. We got The Curious Tale of the Stolen Pets, Doctor Who, Edge of Time, I think it's called, Death Horizon, Brookhaven Experiment, Raccoon Lagoon, Honor and Duty D-Day, Richie's Plank Experience, First Person Tennis, Covert, Rhythm of the Universe, Republique, Akron, Attack of the Squirrels, Tokyo Chronos, Ninja Legend, Quiver, VR Furballs, Veronium, Loca Souls, Project Alpha, Range Day VR. Okay, so this is currently our top 40 most wanted. Of all these games, which one would you actually be interested in? Or which are your most wanted?
Shadow Legend VR sticks out to me. Of course, Vacation Simulator.
Wait a minute. As far as Vacation Simulator, is your hype increased for that or lowered for it now that you've had Job Simulator? Like, does a part of you think it's just going to be more of the same? But is a part of you like, well, I really want more of the same? What's your thoughts with like Vacation Simulator?
All positive, all increase of hype because Job Simulator is great and more of that would be really fun. But I also am aware that Vacation Simulator takes it in a slightly different direction. I watched, I want to say maybe 10 or 15 minutes of the gameplay to kind of see what it was about, but then I decided no more. I don't want to spoil myself. I want most of this to just be new and for me to discover it myself when I get in there. So I've seen how it's not just more levels of Job Simulator. It's, it does a slightly different thing. So I'm excited to see what's new as well.
Yeah, okay. So you mentioned Vacation Simulator, one of the ones you're looking forward to. What was the other one you were talking about?
Shadow Legends.
Oh yeah, Shadow Legend. Yeah, and Shadow Legend, man, like we got Shadow Legend down here at 15. Beautiful game. Like one of my favorite games of this year. Some people talk major smack about it, but like I know it's short and everything, but I really love it. I do wonder though how watered down this is going to be on the Oculus Quest because it is one of those PC-ass PC games. What about like, when we're looking at some of these really high ranked ones like Echo Arena, Pavlov, Onward, eSpire, Population 1. A lot of guns, man. A lot of shooting guns. Mm-hmm. Are you into that at all? Like, do you want any game where, It's
I'm
okay.
not into shooting guns. I'm not into games where there's a lot of combat. Um, it it's not my thing. It doesn't strike me um, as something that, really catches my attention. However, I'm open to trying some of these things. I'm not going to, spend a really large amount of money on them. There are things I might pick up on a sale or if it's available for free or something like that. But I have to say, I'm glad, even though it's not something that I'm really hyped about or looking forward to myself, I'm really glad that some of these titles are coming to the Quest just because it's going to increase the overall popularity. Like Onward and Pavlov, I don't have much interest in playing them myself, but they're really popular titles, and there are a lot of people who that is their jam. That's their
Bread
almost the
and
only
butter,
thing they're
yeah.
interested in as far as video gaming is first-person shooters. Um,
What about like Arizona Sunshine, for example? Like it's this zombie, like it's shooting, but it's a zombie thing. Did you watch The Walking Dead, or I mean, maybe you still do? Like, what about like I mean, all the zombie stuff in popular culture? There's just so
mhm.
much zombieism. Some of us have like crazy zombie fatigue, and we're kind of done with it. But is there any part of you that would be like, oh, I'd like to walk down that highway and hide behind those police cars and pop a couple of zombies in the head? Or would that be almost like a horror experience for you?
No, I don't think it would be like horror for me. Um,
When you get into the tunnels, though, and it's dark,
maybe,
yeah, at
maybe
that
then.
point,
Um, it's something that I wouldn't be opposed to trying. I
but
might get
you're
in there
not
and that.
that hyped on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Being in the game as opposed to just playing it on a flat screen, it might change everything for me. So I'm not opposed to trying it, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
not something that I'm, incredibly hyped about.
What about
Um,
something like The Climb? And the reason I bring this one up is like when I've mentioned VR to my wife, she's like, "Oh, do you have any game where you're like climbing mountains or something?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I do. I have something called The Climb." And I don't know. It's kind of cool because it's I mean the grab like we still haven't seen a picture of The Climb. It's been confirmed forever and we know that it's coming, but we haven't seen a single legitimate Quest screenshot or video of it. But one of its claims to fame on Rift is that you do have these really good looking graphics and you're climbing up the sides of these mountains and you eventually get up to the very top of the mountain. And of course, if you have like a fear of heights and stuff, in VR, I don't know. I mean, I had a strong fear of heights when I first did VR, and then now I have no fear of heights at all. But still, in real life, I do. It's like my brain is adjusted to VR, and it's like these graphics ain't good enough, bro. You're gonna need way better, more photorealism for us to get scared in VR now. Any interest in that one?
yeah, I'm interested in trying it. The current price that it is on Rift right now makes me think I might like wait for a sale to pick it up. But I'm interested in trying it.
Speaking of the prices, like, do you feel like Oculus has backed themselves into a corner here with their pricing with this whole cross buy thing? Because they've kind of, that's the question. Like, the climb, does it have to be cross buy? Does the price have to be the same in both stores? I mean, they've kind of said, like, if it's an Oculus game, it's going to be, and they've published the climb. So, I guess we would assume that it would have to be cross buy, and then you would think they would adjust the price before it actually, like they would adjust the price on the Rift store before the Quest one comes out, so it kind of is in line. This whole pricing thing with the cross buy, it kind of weird a little bit.
It is weird, yeah, and you might think, how could you have two different prices, even if it's just a temporary sale? How could you have two different prices on the two different stores if they're cross buy? Because the person's just going to buy it on the store where it's cheaper. So it does kind of pose a weird issue.
Although, do you really think like Joe and Sally Walmart are going to be like, yeah, I'm going to go onto, I don't have an Oculus Rift, but I'm going to go onto a PC. I'm going to create an Oculus, or I'm going to sign into the Oculus account in the Rift store and I'm going to buy Battle Wake there because I'll save $5. Like, I don't really think, like, only us types are going to do that. And we're not a gigantic population.
That's
We're
true.
pretty small.
Yeah, they might
Um,
bank on that.
yeah. So, speaking of horror though, like have you tried anything horror? I mean, but there's no demos, right? We don't have a demo on the
Mhm.
Rift that demos horror. That kind of sucks.
I haven't tried anything. I have no interest in Face Your Fears. As a matter of fact, Anthony, you've been a really good source of information for me, because if there's a VR game out there that has spiders or creepy crawlies, you're going to let me know first, and I know just to avoid that game and not play it at all.
Yeah, yeah.
So I will not be playing Face Your Fears. Um, I am interested in trying out horror. I heard that Dread Halls is coming. There's not any kind of a time frame or a date, but Dread Halls should be coming, and I'm really interested to kind of test my nerve with it. Um, I've obviously seen other people play it, and I'm aware of the kinds of scares and monsters that are in there. And I think that there's nothing that would be too overwhelmingly scary for me, but just being in those dark hallways and having the monsters chase you in VR, you're not just watching it, you're in it. I don't know how scared I would be, how long I would last, and so I'm eager to, like I said, kind of test my nerve whenever that one comes out.
The awesome thing about horror, and like I want everybody to try some horror, even like, okay, you get to the point where it's like, no, I can't do this anymore. Okay, take the headset off and that's fine. But I would love people like Face Your Fears too. They should have a little short demo of it that is just kind of like the opening 20 minutes or something before you get to all the really crazy stuff. And it would just have a couple of little horror things and then people could try it. I think that would be awesome because the immersion, man. I mean, we do have, the fight or flight response, right? And so when our brain gets tricked and we're in that experience, like, you're going down, like, all they have to do is make a dark hallway where you cannot see what is at the end of that hallway, but you're hearing something. And especially if you're hearing like some kind of weird little snake thing or spider thing, oh man, it'll have you on. You don't even need to see what the hell it is. Okay, so another thing I wanted to talk to you about real quick. We're doing this rankings, top 20 Oculus Quest experiences and apps, and I don't even think we have a full 20 yet, but we just this is like a work in progress. But YouTube VR, have you tried this on the Oculus Quest? Have you tried any of these like 180 videos or 380 videos? Or any of like, what have you done video wise, VR video wise, or Netflix or anything else you might want to talk about?
Yeah, I went into YouTube VR for a little bit, and I checked out a few of the 180 videos. I didn't get a whole lot out of them. Um, I don't know. They're not 3D; they're just flat, but they're 180 or 360, and um, it was, it held my interest for a couple minutes, and then I switched to a different video. But then I thought about, what about 3D videos? And I think it was one of the ones that Remarcus posted. I went in and watched a 3D video, and I was like, this is pretty cool. But there's not a lot of that content that's out there. You have to kind of search for it. But that was pretty cool to look around the scene, and things are, stereoscopically correct, and they have depth to them. It was really interesting.
I wonder if somebody on like the Oculus Quest subreddit, like somebody should be doing this where they should have a list of like the top 20 YouTube things that you can try in YouTube VR, because there is good stuff. I'm telling you. See, the thing is, I see crappy stuff that is absolutely god awful, and it turns you off of it really quick. And a lot of the 360 stuff is kind of crappy, but I've seen a few 360 videos on where it's 360 and it's stereoscopic. It is legit. Like, there's 180 videos. Now, the problem is a lot of this stuff is almost going into the adult category, and it's targeted towards males, right? And I saw this video just the other day. I mean, in the for science, right? I tried one of these little videos, and I was amazed. Like, okay, this was not a pornographic thing, but they had somebody that was like 4 feet away from you, and fully dressed person, but they were just right there, and I'm just looking at it in stereoscopic 3D. And the person like bends over and gets close to my face, and I'm like looking at this person. I'm like, wow, I'm amazed how good this stuff looks right now here in 2019. I don't know how they filmed it, with what kind of camera or whatever they filmed it, but this stuff is going to start to get better and better and better. And it's not just going to be used for like adult material. It's going to be used for all kinds of stuff, where we're seeing like giraffes and elephants and nature kind of scenes that are going to be really like you're gonna feel like you're there. We're eventually gonna have photorealism. Like it's gonna get scary. Like I'm already thinking it's gonna get scary because you're gonna be able to go somewhere. For example, okay, I know I'm all over the map with this explanation here, but the Mona Lisa. Okay, so I don't know what museum the Mona Lisa is in. I believe it's like France or something, right? But wherever, or Italy or something, wherever the Mona Lisa is, you probably have to wait into a long ass line, and they probably slowly only allow so many people to go over by it, and you probably have to stay a certain number of feet away from it, and you're looking at this wall and there is the Mona Lisa painting, right? And it's just a matter of time. And I'm telling you, I don't even think it's 5 years. Like it might not even be 5 years where we could be standing here. The Mona Lisa could be on a wall and it could be pixel perfect, no difference from real life. But you have the advantage in VR where you can like get even closer and examine it with even more finer detail once our headsets and everything catch up. Like that's why I think VR, it's impossible for VR not to like completely dominate the human experience. It's going to be VR and AR, and it's going to be a mixture of all of that. But I don't know. I think you should try some more 180 and 360 stuff that is recommended by people. But I don't know where you can go to get those recommendations.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's probably there. It's just a little harder to find. And I really agree with you. I think that between photogrammetry and the new camera technologies and where all of that is going in the next couple of years, it's actually preferable to take whatever it is, whether it's ancient ruins somewhere or pieces of art or artifacts. It's preferable to just expose that to the camera once and get all the details, get everything you need to build the perfect replica of it in VR, and then it can stay protected. It doesn't have to be exposed to the air and the light day in and day out and exposed to people who might break the rules and try and touch it or get their, skin oils on it or whatever. It can be then, kept safely and preserved, and then everyone can enjoy it in VR from the comfort of their home. They don't have to go anywhere. Like the Mona Lisa. I'm not gonna, get on a plane and travel to France to see it. I think it's in the Louvre.
Yeah, yeah.
But if I could just hop into VR and check it out, that'd be really cool. A lot more people would have the access and the opportunity to be exposed to things they otherwise wouldn't be. Things that are in present day Iraq that are from the earliest civilizations in the world are not very easily accessible right now. But with VR, everyone in the world could easily see all of those things. I think it's going to be really great for preservation of
What is it
past
going to
and of
do
art.
to airline stocks and cruise ship stocks? No, I guess cruise ships people will still go on those. Have you tried any Netflix in your headset, like just sitting in bed or on the sofa or anything? Have you tried any of that?
Yeah, I tried it just briefly just to check it out. That room that you're in, the like ski lodge, that's really cool. That's like a really neat environment. I just sat there looking around at it for, at least 5, maybe 10 minutes, and uh, it was pretty neat. And like sitting on my real couch, and like I had my real like throw pillow next to me where there was a throw pillow in there. It was really neat. Um, Personally, I don't have too much of a reason to watch like TV shows and movies in VR. I'm by myself here, and I don't have anyone around me to be making noise and distracting me. I have my Chromecast. I use my Chromecast every single day, and I usually cast YouTube to it. I cast Netflix to it, um, and watch on my TV rather than on like a little laptop screen. And I can be comfortable not having a headset on my face. You know, Having something to drink or eat while I'm watching. So I don't have too much of an incentive to watch in VR other than the novelty of it. But I have thought of a few things that I want to try kind of just for the novelty. Um, I'm thinking about watching Black Mirror, which I haven't watched before. That apparently there was an episode recently that had to do directly with VR. So I thought You know what?
I just saw the two new. So speaking of Black Mirror, so this season, right, has 3 episodes, and I've now seen all 3 episodes. And the Miley Cyrus episode, I won't spoil it, but I'll be like, that episode, like, I was watching it and I'm like, oh, this is a lame episode. Bye. It was one of the first Black Mirror episodes where I was like, this is just too goofy. I can't get with it. I'm out of here. But that's just a side note. But you know what? VR chat. Like, so this is our top 20 Oculus Quest experiences and apps. VR chat, it's free. Have you been in there? Have you been harassed in VR chat? How was that experience?
I went into VR chat. I wasn't expecting to download it and go into it to give it a try so early. But someone told me, I forget where I heard it. It may have been someone in your chat who told me that someone recreated Tuscany in one of the worlds in VR chat. And I thought, okay, that sounds cool. And I went in there and I was messing around with the tutorials that it's giving. It was a little bit overwhelming, all the different options and settings, um, and I think it's the first time that I tried smooth locomotion. It was really the first app I opened up that had any option for that. And I figured, what the heck, I'll just try it. And you're in this big room, and there's like a ramp in the middle, so that you can get that like elevation change, and then like get to the end of the ramp and you just like fall off of it a few feet. And it was really interesting. I turned on the smooth locomotion and the smooth turning, and it felt really strange. I was really glad that I didn't get sick. I didn't feel nauseous, but man, was it a strange feeling. And then, I like tried to, I guess, intensify it, and I like just went straight up that ramp and then fell off of it. And the smooth locomotion in conjunction with the elevation change, yeah, that was, whatever it was, I felt it, but it wasn't so uncomfortable that I couldn't do it. It didn't make me feel sick or nauseous or anything like that. So I was like, well, I guess I'm not that susceptible to simulator sickness, which is good. But then I went right into, I just searched for Tuscany and went right into that, and there was no one else there. I was wondering if, would it be filled with other people or what? It was completely empty. And it was a, pixel for pixel exact recreation of the Tuscany demo I'd tried in Google Cardboard. And I was actually really surprised at how much of a difference it was. It just felt that much more immersive, and I'm not sure if it was any one specific thing or just the combination of all of it, whether the resolution of the Quest. I also got the feeling that the scale was different. I feel like I was smaller, or the entire world or environment was bigger in the VR chat version, but it was much more immersive. It was really interesting to go into something that I could make a direct comparison between the Google Cardboard version and the Quest version.
Oh, that's cool. What about big screen beta? Have you tried that at all?
I did go into it briefly, and I made an avatar, and then I wanted to stream my my PC desktop into there, because my thought was watching something like a documentary. I heard that if you have Amazon Prime, you can watch it for free. Do you trust this machine? So you were talking a bunch about different podcasts that you listen to. And I thought, why don't I find a podcast that's kind of like just like futurism, technology, maybe has something to do with VR, but not necessarily it has to be VR specific. And I found one called Mind and Machine. I found it on YouTube, and I was listening to some of the episodes, and they were pretty cool. And there was one where the host, I forget his name, was interviewing, I guess, the creator or director of this documentary called Do You Trust This Machine? Is about artificial intelligence and where things are going in the future. And it sounded like it would be an interesting documentary to watch. And I have Amazon Prime, so that was my plan for big screen. Was to stream my desktop and watch that in VR.
Yeah. You know what's cool about like some of the big screen stuff is the same with Netflix, but they can put you in these different like auditoriums, like I'm sure you probably tried that, where it shows you like just it puts your screen in different kinds of rooms. And like some of them I was trying it and I was like, I was like looking over to the chair right next to me and the chair over there, and I was like, man, I feel like I'm really in a movie theater. Like this literally feels like I'm in a movie theater. And there were a couple of people that were in the major lobby there, but there was like this annoying kid that was like, will you watch something with me? Will you watch something with me? Will you watch something with me? And I was like, oh God, little kid. But it was funny. But, going back over here, let's see what other little experiences are there. So BOGO, you tried that. Did you think that was kind of cute?
Yeah, I tried BOGO. It was cute. Um, the mini games, I don't know, they were kind of iffy. So the one mini game, like you're picking these fruits and then trying to get them through a hoop like you're playing basketball.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's me and I'm not doing it right or if it's something about the app, but I have trouble with throwing things, whether it's my release of the grip button. Like I can't seem to get the right distance. Like I throw something and it almost just like drops out of my hand rather than um, like making an arc forward. And I had a lot of trouble just, getting that one to work. And then there was another mini game where I wasn't 100% sure what the goal was, but it seemed like you were trying to keep things up in the air, like when you have a balloon and you try and keep it from
Yeah.
touching the floor.
Yeah.
And you're trying to hit them to try and keep them from falling to the ground. And that one, I guess maybe I just don't quite have a big enough space, and I'm a little bit worried about, smacking my arms into something near me. But I didn't even follow through with completing that game because I was like, okay, I'm gonna break something. But overall, it was just a really neat, cool little experience. BOGO was really cute, and it was fun to, just grab the different fruits and the different things that you can put into the little cooking machine.
It was kind of cool as you're doing it. Like, did you see stuff in the background go like, it was like stuff was like
Yeah.
raising up in the background and stuff. That square area that they put you on in BOGO, that area will actually adjust, I believe, to the size of your play space. And if you're
Okay.
able to make a really big play space, like one of the things I noticed with BOGO, I was surprised by it, is like I could really walk around, like I made a really big play space, and like I did not see my guardian pop up until I got to the very edge. And so I'm like really physically walking around in that little orange area. But yeah, you would kind of need a pretty big play space. But it's a cool little free thing.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, I kind of thought this was going to be like some little guy that you're like raising and feeding. And like I
More like a
thought,
Tamagotchi.
yeah, I thought you'd be going back to it. Like I thought you'd be checking on him, but it's kind of like a one-off kind of a deal.
Yeah, and
Um,
I did go back into it because I heard that there was an Easter egg in there. So I won't say what the Easter egg or exactly how to find it, but if you haven't yet, if you try to stick your head in places where it logically shouldn't be able to go physically, there's a neat little Easter egg. It's not very big, it's just a small little thing. But it was a reason for me to go back in and look for it.
One of the other little experiences or apps or whatever is this thing called Wander. And I talked about this like another time. I tried it. Well, Parkline Interactive, they actually gave me a key for it, and I tried it. And basically, what it is, ultimately, it's kind of a roundabout way to basically have Google Earth on like the Oculus Go and the Oculus Quest or whatever. And so basically like you can go to these preset locations, and then you're like in Google Street View. So like you can go to your actual house or like your school or any place in your city pretty much, and like it kind of puts you there, and then you're kind of like, you're scrolling around and you're just looking at everything, and it's just a still image, but it's kind of amazing. Like you can go, for example, like I'm going to be going to New York late in July, and I've never been there before, and I could use this app and find where my hotel is that I'm going to be staying at, and like kind of look at like a couple of blocks like around my hotel and kind of know like, oh, that's over there, that's over there. Of course it is $10. It's, and this was $5. Like they have the exact same app on the Rift. It's $5. For some reason it's $10. Now, of course, Oh, maybe we just discovered the secret. We've just discovered the secret because maybe Oculus, like maybe they have a mandate for the Quest. They don't want $5 things. They don't want $8 things. They don't want $4 things. Because as soon as they open it up to that, then people are going to expect that there could be all kinds of $3, $4 things. And maybe they
Right.
want to kind of funnel people in to more expensive kind of stuff. It's kind of
Yeah, I can really see where they think that would give the impression of, jank and shovelware, and they might have a threshold of, your app or game has to be at least a $10 worthy experience. I was actually thinking that when Chris was mentioning the game that he's working on for school, I think some kind of a snowball throwing type of game,
yeah.
and it sounded like, it might be the kind of thing that's like a $5 app, but to get on the Quest store, they might want something that has more to it that makes it more like at least a $10 app.
Yeah, Chris Richardson in chat says WanderWorks Co-op. That's the special sauce about it. And when I did go into Wander, I actually went to like Times Square in New York. Like this guy was already there. He was like, I joined a room and there was like three people in the room and he was in Times Square and we're just like looking at Times Square and it's like 360 degrees and you see like kind of like a little thing of another person. You see whatever their little name is or whatever, and they're talking, and it's kind of cool. I mean, that's something. Have you explored any kind of like rec room or anything else where it's like a social thing? Like, have you been screwing around with any of these social things?
Um, I think the very first day I got the Quest, that evening I tried going into Rec Room, and I was experiencing that bug where when I tried to create an account, it would just crash on me. Um, so I wasn't able to go into it that night, and then I just haven't tried going back to it since. So I haven't been in Rec Room yet.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? We've covered quite a bit of stuff. I'm starting to be starving right now. So we're going to have to get out of here pretty soon because otherwise my stomach's going to be growling like crazy. Let's go back over here to our main setup. And we've been going for a long time, and I didn't even ask you how long you could go here. So I hope I haven't kept you too ridiculously long.
No, it's all right.
Okay.
I could keep yammering on forever about Quest because it's really cool, and there are so many games that have been announced that are coming soon that I'm looking forward to. So, yeah, it's fun.
Well, is there any other like before we get out of here, like any last minute topic you like anything that you think is important that no one's talking about in regards to the Quest or any other thing you could possibly think of?
Hmm. I don't feel like I have anything offhand that, I'm wondering why is no one talking about this? Like, occasionally there have been things just in the greater, VR um, industry that I've thought had that feeling about before. Like, why is no one talking about this? But I can't think of anything about the Quest. I think, people are kind of focused on the right things. Um,
You know,
and
one last question actually.
yeah.
One last question going back to these experiences and apps is like do any of these things tempt you? Like for example, there's Ocean Rift is like $10. Wander, of course, we talked about that. Apollo 11, Nature Treks VR, the National Geographic thing, I guess, guided Tai Chi, or Bonfire. Like this is like an actual like little. It's kind of a like this is $9.99. Like I'm telling you, notice all of these are $9.99. Oculus must have like they will not let anything be under $9.99. I think.
hmm
But that's, I guess, a side story. But any of these other things tempt you at all?
Yeah, I'm interested in a number of them in Ocean Rift, in Apollo 11, Nature Treks, and the Nat Geo one. Um, I'm not sure why Wander doesn't entice me so much. Um, and Bonfire, I think it's just because I have no idea what Bonfire is. Um, and I can't say that I'm really that interested in guided Tai Chi either. Um, but yeah, I mean, Ocean Rift, Apollo 11, Nature Treks, and Nat Geo are all on my list. I just, haven't gotten to them yet, and I'm gonna try not to, spend all of my money in the course of a few weeks here and try and space it out a little bit.
Yeah, Factory Life in chat says, I like the Tai Chi app. I think it would be cool if we get a lot more experiences coming to the Quest. Like they do have first contact, they've got the first steps, that's cool, and they've got some interesting things. But I would love, there are so many good, like Dear Angelica, all these different things, right? And I think they could run on the Quest, and maybe we're going to get them. Maybe it's a matter of time, like Henry and Lost, like some of them are working on Go, so it should be able to work on the Quest. And I guess
I think I heard Henry is coming,
yeah,
which is good because that's one I'd want to experience. There are a number like from really the DK2 days that I watched other people play, like Sightline the Chair. I actually messaged the developer, I think Feroxius, and he's busy working on his newer project. And he said he doesn't have the time or have any plans to bring Sightline the Chair to Quest, even though it would be, theoretically possible. It, probably won't happen. There's a lot of those just little tech demos from back when it was, before the Rift was commercially available that I just don't think anyone's going to take the time to bring them to Quest that we might miss out on.
some of them would be hard because like something like Blade Runner 2049, the Memory Lab or whatever that one was called that was on the Rift that was really good. Like they were doing some high-end stuff with like trying to create these like digital characters with like photogrammetry and stuff. And I just don't know how easily that would be ported over. But I mean, they did such a great job with First Contact. Because First Contact is almost the same exact experience, so that was
I'm
really
even a
cool.
little bit bummed that I don't have the Oculus Dream Deck, just because that's what
Oh
everyone back in the day
yeah,
experienced first, and the T-Rex and everything.
yeah, yeah. That would be cool. I really hope they get some more of that stuff in. All right. Well, anyways, I thank you so much for joining me. This was awesome. I was looking forward to this. You've had 25 days with the Quest. And so we kind of started out a little bit negative, talking about all the worst things, but that's because positivity is a given. We already love this thing. So it's almost
Right.
like the problems are more interesting than anything else because we're in love with what it's already doing. So it's more like, what are the things that are kind of screwing with it is what we tend to focus on. But really awesome to have you aboard. Glad to have you on camera and everything. And now maybe you could be that next great YouTube star. Or have you thought about trying to do like recording gameplay footage in your Quest? Have you tried doing that where you record into the Quest and then you got to like use like a USB? See, that's the thing. If your laptop has a USB-C plug, or if it doesn't, you can get a little adapter where you use, your charging cable and you connect it to like a USB-C adapter, and then you can get that video onto your laptop and then, do something with it to get it up onto YouTube or whatever.
Yeah, I've thought about this whole issue kind of inside out, and in order to do that, I would have to get a separate microphone, like you're looking into getting that mod mic. To get a separate
Yeah.
microphone to record the audio, or
Well, the
maybe I'm
mic that
mistaken
you're
on
wearing
that
right
one.
now, what you're wearing
Hmm.
right now, you might be able to just wire it. The thing is, it'd be kind of a Franken thing, because you'd
Yeah,
wire that to your laptop or whatever. You'd be recording that in
right.
Audacity. It's complicated, but it could
Yeah.
be done.
And then, then having some kind of software where you have to sync audio and video, or I think I was actually mistaken, and if you record directly into the Quest, I think it will pick up your Quest microphone, but then the audio is desynced, and then you have to use some sort of editing program to sync it back up. I'm like, I don't I
Yeah.
don't want to get into all of that jazz. I want it to be the most simple, straightforward thing that I can do. Um, so I don't know. We'll see if any other
It's
solutions
fun
present
though. It's
themselves.
fun. Like if you ever start doing it and you like, I think if somebody were just to walk you through, see, here's what you would need is you would need a little basic video editor, and there are some free
Hmm.
ones out there. But each one of them, because like you're dropping these tracks in, right, and so you're going to drop in that Oculus video, and it's going to have the audio is going to be jacked up and it's going to be out of sync, and then what you have to do is you have to like highlight that audio and make it so that it decouples with the video, and now you can move the audio. So, and it's a process, but I'm telling you, Like you could probably learn it really quickly and then you would be up and running. And from that point on, you could just do the same thing every single time and it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But it is a process. But it's fun. It's really fun if you're able to do it, because you could also have like a little, with your little webcam there, you could be capturing yourself like actually playing Beat Saber, and then you're talking at the same time, and so people could see the video, they could see you, they could see the gameplay. It'd be kind of cool. I'm sure people would like it, just because, you know, we don't have as many females doing this stuff. Not that many. I know Cass and Cherry they do a lot of Quest stuff, but we don't have a female Remarcus. You could be the female version of Remarcus. Have you watched Remarcus's videos at all? He does a lot of great Oculus Quest stuff.
Yeah,
You know?
I was watching him back when he was, before Quest was a thing, and he was the Oculus Go person. And because the way the hardware works and the operating system, a lot of that stuff from Go translates to Quest. And he's kind of the go-to expert on a lot of the, the hardware and firmware and features with both Go and Quest.
My virtual diary in chat says DaVinci Resolve is free. And you know what? Jim Hall, who has helped me out, and he's like really knowledgeable about all this type of stuff, he's always recommended that I use that DaVinci Resolve, the free thing. Like I use this old Sony program from like a million years ago. It's like Sony Movie Studio 12 or something. And it's like 7 years old, but I know exactly how it works. And so I'm able to use it. But yeah, there are free programs like DaVinci Resolve. The problem is you're going to have to watch a few YouTube videos to like understand what the hell is going on. But you could do it. It would be fun. But anyway, we got to bounce the heck out of here. So let me go ahead and get my little outro thing on the screen, and we can get out of here. And it was Father's Day. And so you know what? I need to say Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. We absolutely appreciate you. It's awesome, of course. Like anybody that has a father, obviously you're going to appreciate your father, unless he was a horrible asshole and you don't want to appreciate him. But yeah,
happy Father's Day to you, Anthony.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Absolutely. All right. Well, Gaming Science Teacher, it was so fun having you on. We'll have to do this again. And I'll just go ahead and say bye to you now. But yeah, thanks so much. Yeah. Wonderful having you on.
Thank you so much for having me. See you guys.
Okay. Take it easy. All right, well, that was Gaming Science Teacher joining us, and that was pretty awesome. Really appreciate everybody joining us on this Sunday, on Father's Day. Everybody have a wonderful Father's Day. If you turn the volume super high and you use headphones over the last 10 minutes, you are going to hear my stomach. It is making noises. I am starving. I've got to get some food, so I am going to get the heck out of Dodge. But I will be back tomorrow on Monday. And you know what? I've got some news that I'm going to be talking about on Monday. We're going to try doing some Twitch streaming. Yeah, this show is going to be split. It is going to be half YouTube and half Twitch. It's all going to be experimental. So it is very experimental, but I'm going to experiment with Twitch. I'll talk about that tomorrow. We can talk about that on Monday's episode. And tomorrow it will be an evening episode. I don't know if it's going to be 4 p.m., 4:30 p.m., or if it might be like an 8 p.m. show or something like that. But we will figure it out. I will be there tomorrow. Everybody have a wonderful Sunday. Take it easy. Play some Quest. Have some fun. And I will see you guys next time. Later.